Hello, world. It's R.A. Bellson here, the author of the new trilogy, Charcoal the Elf, a fantasy series that takes place in the real world. And I'm talking today with the masterful painter who created the cover for Charcoal the Elf Book One up top, John Bates.
Thank you for having me. It's a
Uh,
pleasure.
it's a pleasure to see you again, I have to say. I think the world is very interested in knowing a little bit about you.
Well, I'm originally from Clarkston, Michigan. Right now, I currently reside in New York, and I've been here for about maybe 6 years or so.
When did you start creating art?
I think I've always been an artist since early childhood, growing into college, where I started to make a career out of it and take it more seriously. And I would say my style of art is more of like an abstract, a little bit of contemporary mixed with it own little bit of street, put in my own little twist of things and make it my own.
I have to admit that's one of the things I like most about your work. Did you have any formal training?
I took some small classes in a community college back in Michigan, but I think as a self-taught artist, it's mostly just learning from my peers and other artists, the glory of the internet of just finding my own way and my own path.
I can even recall when we worked together on book one's cover. I remember you doing some research because there were certain techniques you wanted to apply that you had never tried before. And I have to say, that's one of the things about you I admired the most, that you didn't keep yourself limited to what you already knew. And I found that very exciting.
Thank you, thank you. I think as an artist too, that's one of the best things is allowing yourself to explore not only different methods and styles, but genres of what you're really trying to capture as well, and not staying in that bubble of what you're used to. And
As any creative, yeah. How did we meet initially?
you and I met at the Selma Gunny Club in New York.
Right.
We've kept in touch ever since.
Yeah, we certainly connected, and I remember asking you to show me your portfolio, and I was so overwhelmed. It was just such a great portfolio, and
Well, thank you.
I shared it with several high-ranking members of the club, and they were all really impressed too. It was kind of one of these, I didn't know he was so talented.
Which
Yeah,
led me to many things afterwards. So
and many more to come, I hope.
yes, I hope as well. Thank you.
So, when we first talked about the book, and this is a ways back now, the first thing I know you did was read the book.
I loved it actually. Charcoal himself and the story. There was a lot of relatable things that I instantly noticed that kept me involved that I personally related to and made me just wanting more and more and more.
Thank you. Did you find yourself burning to do the cover after you read the book?
Yes, there was a lot of things that I visually captured while reading, while I was taking notes along the way that started the process actually. Well, it was kind of like, what do I see? What am I trying to visualize? And it was a back and forth collaboration, with as far as where do we start this?
Remind me, have book two and book three are not fully completed yet, but did I share those with you as well?
No.
Uh,
I'm still on edge because I finished book one and immediately wanted to start reading book two because I have to know more. That's where I'm at right now, and I not only the visual aspect of the artistry of everything, but I'm curious to know a little bit more. What's going on? So that's where I'm at. So I haven't read book two or three yet. I'm still waiting on R.A. Bellson to fill me in. So
yeah, well, R.A. Bellson is waiting on that too. But world at large, the book two and book three of the trilogy are very close to done.
I'm waiting for that.
Thanks. Thank you.
I get one of those first copies.
Well, duh. If you're going to be doing the covers for them, I think we can assume that that's going to be happening. Um, let's talk a little bit about your process for creating a book one up tops cover.
Like we just mentioned, as soon as I was finished reading the book, I started jotting down some information of not only keywords, but just sketches, just hand-drawn sketches of ideas of how this could go. Then from there, you and I met, and the first time we was actually we met like on some of our ideas that just clicked. Everything was on kind of the same page as far as what could work. We threw around some ideas, and then from there, I just began approaching the drawing table, basically, so to say. That just grew into what it is today.
Now you said the drawing table. If I'm not mistaken, the cover is not real in the sense that it's something you can go up and touch. Am I right about
Like I
that?
said, it did start on paper because that's usually the artist that I am. It starts with hand sketches. Then I put them into a computer program and kind of brush them up where it's easy to,
Brush them up. I get it.
pun intended, maybe. But I kind of it's easier to work with where you can fix your mistakes and improvise, and you can alter the things as quickly as you possible. Whereas the old school method where you redraw and redraw and redraw on a computer program, you have a lot of leeway to fix these things in a timely manner.
Mhm.
And more effectively, and where you can actually sample some of these new ideas, explore outside of the bubble, and create the
Which you
vision.
certainly did. I
Yeah.
will, having been involved in this process, I will say your bubbles got bigger and more multiple. And that was part of the excitement of creating the cover. You were willing to experiment, you were willing to try things, and you were also
Yes.
very forthcoming about saying, I don't think this works. What were your inspirations in terms of where you went visually with this?
I think some of my inspirations actually came from previous projects that I worked on in the past, different color palettes that I can use on this one, or different methods that I can use on this one. I would go back to my own personal catalog and open these up a little bit and explore these and see what worked and what didn't work. Also, talking with other artists was a big thing for me, as far as
Wow.
exploring that a little bit more.
Do you mind sharing with the world how long it took to produce this book cover?
And I would say roughly about 2 months.
Yeah.
I think the majority of it mostly on the character of Charcoal.
Mhm.
Tried to get the best possible him. Like I said, about 2 months or so. As
Yeah.
the artist in me, I would love about 2 years worth
Yeah.
because things are never finished. So I would like, but it was a enjoyable, I will say,
Well, there
enjoyable
was this
process.
monster named R.A. breathing down your neck saying, "This has to be done."
Yes, but that's what I thrive on.
No, you're supposed to say
So
no.
thank you.
You're
I
not
think
supposed
we work together as a team quite well to in order to put the fire under me and trying to get the collaboration of what you were expecting and looking for and try to get that as best as possible. So thank you.
I never felt you needed any fire lightings. You were just really gung ho
Sometimes
with
I
it.
do.
Did you find the image of Charcoal himself difficult to come up with?
Yes. I did because I think we went through many different versions of him, dozens if not. To where it was like, how about this? How about this? And we've changed everything from his eyes to his lips to his hair. And I think his hair was probably the most difficult because that's a very important part of the story. And if it wasn't right, it had to be right. So I think it was challenging to to get him in your vision in your eyes. But towards the end, it was kind of not easy, but that's the wrong word.
No, I know what you mean, though. I
It
know
was
what you mean.
easier, easier.
When you get on the right track, the train
Yes,
really
that's the
starts
best way to
rolling at
describe it.
that point. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yes.
know what you mean. I know what you mean. Well, you make it sound like there were attempts made on the cover which did not work.
The hair. Like, we went through it a few dozen times, I think. Also, I think at one point we had
We,
footprints at one point in in the snow where I drew some footprints, and
yeah,
I
I was
think we
gonna say
comically laughed
we.
at those. To where they either look like bugs or I thought pancakes at one point.
I mean,
But
I really pancakes. I really appreciated you coming up with the footprints. It was a noble effort and a great try, and it made a lot of sense. But yeah, when we looked at them, it was like, um,
I don't think I think as far as the cover that they may be cluttered a little bit to where they weren't even necessary. But also let's say, Sugar Plum Peak and the behind him, there was, had to be moved a little bit. So, I mean, there was things that could stay, that didn't work, that could have worked.
Well, let's talk about the cover for a couple of minutes. Why don't you describe parts of the cover that you think are significant?
Well, there's a few key elements as far as like, let's say for him, he's holding the book. That's a key element in there. There's some other notable things that the readers will notice and go, why is this important? Now, I can't say too much about these things, but there's reasons why there's an icicle up there that's maybe a different
No
color.
spoilers. No spoilers,
No
right? Yeah.
spoilers. I'm not gonna give spoilers.
Go
And there's
ahead. The
also a
icicle.
reason why there's a shipwreck in the back. You know,
Uh,
there's things why there's on the front and back cover that are there for a reason. And it's up to the reader to get to that point and see why they are.
Okay, you hear that, readers? You're going to have to read the book to figure out why what's on the cover is on it.
Yes, there's reasons why the cover is what it is, and that's the fun of it. And that was the fun of it, creating it is placement and what stays and what goes. And
And I just want to add to the world listening right now that you brought pretty much all of the elements of the cover to me. You, as the reader and as a creative person, kind of picked up in your own mind what you thought was significant and worthy of putting on the cover. And I agreed with you just about 100% because you picked up on all the elements in the book that propelled the story forward and that made Charcoal's arrival at self realization.
well, that goes back to revisiting the story. So after I read the story and got some ideas, there was times where I had to go back to the story and reread it just to get some of these visuals brought to life. As simple as the color palette of setting the tone of calmness, but also being around what he's currently, you know, where he lives. And like we bounce back a lot of ideas back and forth almost daily to where it is today.
I will say it was a great, great experience working with you. You
Oh,
just
the pleasure was mine. Thank you.
so, I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but you're welcome.
Oh, I wasn't either. No,
Uh,
I'll take
um,
them though.
so it sounds to me like you're willing to proceed with books 2 and 3 in
I'm
terms of.
excited for it, to be honest with you. I have some, even though I haven't read books 2 or 3 yet, I'm starting to circulate some ideas of guessing where it could be,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
as far as what the covers could look like, and that excites me to start immediately starting to see.
Don't make too many assumptions because I promise you,
No, no, no.
it's
This is
full
more of
of
the reader.
surprises.
This is the reader talking, not the artist, because the reader
Understood.
in
Okay.
me is so eager to finish the story, obviously, because the book one, it's like, well, what happens? That's where I'm at
Ah,
right now. So
yeah.
not the
Good.
artist in me, it's the reader. So
Good. Well, that means I did
I
my
can't wait
job.
to give my hands on the book too. So
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. You're in for some surprises.
you've already said that a bunch of times. I'm waiting. So
Okay. All right. Fair enough. What other projects are you working on at the moment, John?
currently right now I'm doing a few commission projects. I'm also doing the self artist where I'm just promoting myself and trying to get my name out here. You know, hence the reason of, you know, moving to New York and doing all that. It's coming together. So I'm involved in a lot of stuff right now.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. And you've got
Thank
some
you.
projects in the future with
Oh
me,
yes,
with
absolutely.
yours truly, anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
So, John, how can people who wish to contact you do so?
They can reach me at my email, which is baderdesigns@gmail.com. I also have a website, which is baderdesigns.com, where I have a bunch of stuff as far as artwork, prints, a little bit of everything. You can also message me individually and ask me anything you want.
John, anything else you want to add?
I would say for the readers, get on this book. I love it. Everybody I talk to love it. Right now, after book one, it's gripping. Give me book two.
Gee whiz.
This
Okay.
is what I can add. It's a beautiful story so
Gee
far.
whiz.
I'm
Thank
glad to
you
be
very much.
involved. So thank you.
I'm glad you're involved too. Those of you out there who are waiting eagerly for Charcoal the Elf Book One up top, The book is going public on September 13th. There'll be a live book launch party in Alphabet City in Manhattan at a restaurant called Bin 141. That's BIN 141 on the corner of Avenue A and 3rd Street on Friday, the 13th of September, starting anywhere after about 5 or 5:30 in the evening. We'll do a reading, we'll push the button, we'll sell books, we'll answer questions. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it will also be live on Instagram. John, I want to thank you again for your involvement, for your deeply, deeply appreciated involvement. And
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for the
as
opportunity.
as Santa says in the book, onwards, upwards, and away.